still hands.
Thank you.
Oh, we started. Honey, I totally missed that. Okay.
Whoopsie daisy!
Yeah,
That's a great intro for our video. So,
okay.
talk to the people.
All right. So that was a whoopsie daisy. That was, we're going to go with that. We're going to go. Yeah, whoopsie daisy is that we all make mistakes. And so figuring out how to laugh at our mistakes and making that the default in our brain is pretty awesome. It really helps us stay in dose chemistry so that those little discomforts or inconveniences about life don't send us into a loop of negativity.
Like thinking, what will the people watching on YouTube think of me?
Right. Yeah. That's just, you were not mimicking me, right? I know you were not.
Anyway,
It's been so
back to the whoopsie daisy stories.
Okay. Back to the whoopsie daisy stories. So yeah, that's the idea of getting you to laugh at your mistakes. And it is really helpful to reframing and dosing the brain. Also telling whoopsie daisy stories to somebody else. There is some cool new applied neuroscience research going on about storytelling. And it creates a lot of oxytocin dump because it's an intimate, connecting thing to do. It's engaging the prefrontal cortex by speaking out loud, as well as it's playful by the story being funny. So we're hitting this from 4 different areas and priming our brains to stay in dose. Would you like to tell the first whoopsie daisy story?
Sure.
There you go.
I can do that. So this took place a long time ago. 20 years ago. My sister had just brought her boyfriend home. I'd never met him before, and my family, we're all sitting around the table playing cards. So my mom, my dad, me, my sister, and her new boyfriend. And because we're sitting there around the table, there's not much room. And I was eating some Doritos, a bag of Doritos. So I'd put them on the floor. When we were discussing this, I said, and I was eating Doritos off the floor. And she said, "You're not going to say that, right? That just sounds like..."
He's eating Doritos off the floor. I'm like,
so anyway, so there was a bag on the floor. The Doritos were not actually coming in contact with the linoleum. But I was sitting there with my hand or whatever, and I reached over to get a Dorito, and as I did, and I immediately jerked back up, and I was like, did they hear? Did they hear? And I looked around, and everybody was staring very intently down at their cards, and I knew they'd heard. And I was like, do I just pretend nothing happened? So by this point, far too long had gone on, and but I made the mistake of, all right, let's own up to it. And so I said, "Excuse me," and they just lost it. They all, and they went on laughing and laughing for about 2 or 3 minutes. So you see, I don't know if it was really an intimate kind of connection. Well, the boyfriend felt much more comfortable with me after that.
You lowered the bar.
I did. Through the floor. Literally. Woo! So that's my whoopsie daisy story.
I've never heard you ever. I mean, that's just not...
How dare you? How dare you?
He's a very gentlemanly tutor.
Can we please not discuss this right now?
Got it. On to my whoopsie daisy story.
Cut.
It was a compliment.
Stop. They don't need to know. They do not need to know this. It's a little too intimate with your neighbor, all right?
Hey, I'm done. All done on that topic. Right. I got it. We're good. So I'm going to tell a whoopsie daisy story.
Which I was part of.
Yes.
I will be providing colored commentary on this, especially after the comments of the last 60 seconds.
Oh, no. Play nice.
Should have thought that before.
Whoopsie daisy. So I have the best friend in the world, and he planned a trip to Europe this past summer. and or summer before actually now.
Yeah.
And pre-pandemic,
Yeah.
and we got to go to Greece, and it was amazing. It was trip of a lifetime. Awesome.
It was wonderful.
And we're both sort of foodies, and I had done a lot of research on local Greek cuisine, and because I really wanted to eat kind of farm to table, what people in Greece might eat if they're eating a kind of more traditional diet. And we were on the southern shore of Crete, which is pretty remote, in a little town called Lutro, which the town itself, this tiny, tiny town, is only accessible by boat and by trails. There's no roads in and out of this town. Mm-hmm. And we arrived, and it was a bit crowded.
It's a little touristy. It was still beautiful and wonderful. Beautiful. Amazing. Yes. But it felt very much like they were putting on a show for people.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just different from what we had gotten used to, having really intimate, amazing cultural experiences.
It's you and her and a goat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lutro was a very different thing. So,
so I was jonesing for me, Darren, and the goat, apparently, because I found this restaurant that had been reviewed in the New York Times in this remote area, which seems so bizarre. But I thought, oh, we've got to go there.
Pay attention. Remote is the key word here. So.
Yes. So we get on shore. Like I said, there are no roads, so we're using our Google Maps on our phones, but it's taking us up like trails, like stairs and paths.
Let's start in the beginning.
Between buildings.
We're actually in Lutro, and we don't know where this place is, and we go up to some guy, or he speaks, do you speak English? And, we asked him where that was, and he was like, why do you want to go there? And he was like, you go way, like pointing, but he was like, obviously, I mean, there's 20 restaurants around us.
But 20 restaurants with bumping lights and crowds of people.
Yeah.
And the Phoenix is supposed to be up on a cliff overlooking the water.
But we literally talked to 2 people, and they both give us a look like, why would you go there? And we've gotten recommendations in Lutro, but
so
continue.
We are now kind of up in the hills, and the GPS is taking us through another restaurant. Like, these are paths within paths, and we're passing the grill of this one place, and Darren looks at me and he's like, I'm hungry. This is a restaurant. And the guy we ask at the grill is like, yeah, it's that way. And he just points out into the dark. It's just
dark.
Dark. Like, there are not city lights around.
This is an island, and there ain't nothing outside the town.
It's dark.
Yeah. And
then, so I, bat my eyes real big and say, oh, Darren, come on, let's have the adventure. let's go to this Phoenix restaurant. It's also late. It's it's late.
Yeah.
We sailed into the port late. We're hungry. It's kind of hot. And so he's like, all right, here, we'll go. And so we have to turn on the flashlights on our iPhones because this trail is black, dark.
When I said you, me, and a goat, the goat was on the trail before us, and there wasn't a whole lot else beside the goat.
It literally is a goat trail.
Yeah.
And so we're going, and we hear the goat bells. We can't see anything around us in the dark. Mm-hmm. And it's getting hotter and hotter. We've hiked up for about 10 minutes, and then our Google Maps just starts kind of going in circles. And I'm like, okay, we're going up a ridge. I'm like frontierswoman. I'm like, here, let's crest the ridge. And sweet Darren just keeps, he's a little stoic at this point. And then at this point, is this when you...
Grumpy is probably a better word.
Stoic. I think at this point, he's had on a dress shirt like this. But at this point, he took it off, and he has it tied around his waist. I've got my dress pulled up and got tied up, and we are sweating. And then we get to the top, and there's this beautiful breeze. And it's black, starry night.
The top of the hill. Not anywhere near the restaurant yet.
Yeah.
The top of the hill.
The top of the hill. Yeah. But so I sit down at this point, and I'm wearing these tiny little flip-flops to walk on these rocks. And there's certain places where we're kind of rock crawling a bit. And I said, okay, I'm just going to eat the stars for dinner. This is good enough for me.
It was a beautiful view. It was beautiful.
It was beautiful. And the breeze from the other side had come up. It was great.
And I said, hell no! Excuse my language.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're going to this place if it kills us.
Yeah, he was like, I'm hungry. So he then takes, like, we would sort of Ganop, who was the fierce one. And so this was Darren's turn, and he figures out how to get us over this trail. And you literally hear the goat bells and the goats. It gets a little, like, sketchy of...
Goat bells sound like clunk, 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 clunk,
yeah.
clunk, clunk.
Yeah.
In the background.
And you kind of wonder, like, you don't want to run. This path is also, there's certain places where it's like sheer cliff down to the ocean, and we're on this little tiny rock trail.
Yeah. In the dark.
In the dark, and we didn't want to meet a goat going the other way.
Yeah, oh, that would have
been a bad whoopsie daisy.
Yeah. I mean, I might not be here to tell the tale right now.
And so when we're on top of that hill, I mean, Darren is like, I've got this, here we go. We're also both just falling out laughing. I mean, this is a 4-star whoopsie daisy. It's like one after the other after the other. Then we get down, no, we're still going up when my flip-flop breaks.
No, your flip-flop didn't break until we got back to Lutra. It didn't. Because it was a $2 flip-flop, and it was a miracle. It didn't break going up or down the mountain. It broke when we were on a dock.
That's it.
Yes.
That's it. So it was the final phase.
So you see a whoopsie daisy right there.
Whoopsie daisy.
So.
And you keep going.
Well, we kept going down, and we saw like this fence that was really like a piece of wood with some wire that you pulled aside so the goats couldn't get through. And we got through that.
Yeah. And
we just continued on, and we could finally see a resort. It was actually like
but don't forget one of the final whoopsie daisies when we are coming down and into this resort, we look in and we're looking into somebody's bedroom.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a husband and a wife sort of not in full dress.
I don't remember that at all.
I totally do. Okay. I was like, oh.
I was too focused on the food. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm hungry. So do you want to tell the next part? You want me to? No, you go ahead.
So then
apparently I don't remember all the details.
We get to the restaurant, and now it's so late that we're half convinced they're going to be closed. Yeah. And we're going to have to hike back up this dark goat trail back, which has been like a 45-minute hike to get to where we are. And we're thinking, oh my God, we're going to have to go back. So as soon as we get there, I go up to this
very handsome waiter. Crazy handsome waiter.
And I'm like...
And just the chillest guy ever.
Yeah. I'm like...
Hello, my friends.
Yes. I'm like...
He's looking at us. We're just pouring sweat. It looks like somebody's done the ice bucket challenge on us. But And
we also don't look so demure. Like, Darren's buttoning up his shirt and I'm pulling my dress down. As we come from around the corner.
What did you people do?
What is going on?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, are you still serving? Can we still eat? And he's like, of course.
He looks at us like we're very odd.
Yes.
Because there are tons of people in the restaurant.
Yeah. Oh, not really tons, but still not compared to the other side.
Not tons,
But yeah, it was definitely...
Yeah, not compared to the goat path.
Yeah. Or the people in Lutra, the crowds.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So that
Lutra was like 10 times as many people. Right?
Yeah. And so then the big question is, do we have to hike back up that trail to get back to Lutra? And so this guy's like, no, I will... Can you do the Greek accent of what he says? He's like,
no, I will take care of it. Don't worry. That's not really the Greek accent, but that's what he was very charming. Just imagine the most suave, charming voice ever. No, I'll take care of it.
Like the guy on the cover of a romance novel. And he gets us a boat.
Then he gets a boat with Poseidon, the god of the sea.
Yeah.
Shirtless. Ladies, you would have loved this trip down the goat path.
It was pretty fun. There was lots of rewards at the end. But that was that's my favorite travel whoopsie daisy story. It all worked out so great.
And you know what? It really wouldn't have been nearly as much fun or nearly as memorable if it had all gone smoothly or easily. The actual trouble and all the travails along the way, that's what makes it fun to remember. That's why we remember it, is because it was rough at the time, but we laughed through it.
And I think that's what makes it memorable. If it had been inconvenient and uncomfortable and we had gotten grumpy and lost the dose of chemistry in our brain.
We just have to laugh about it now.
Yeah.
But at the time we were able to laugh at it.
We were able to laugh about it, so it made it a really, really fun, one of our best memories of the trip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So those are that's the winning pitch for learning to tell whoopsie daisy stories and priming your brain and practicing shifting your focus, practicing storytelling, and letting all of its magical benefits saturate into your brain. I hope you'll give it a try.